Blessings Bakanyiselwa. Today we are moving on with our ancestral cloth video classes, and on this lesson we are on this cloth right here, the tiger cloth, right? The tiger cloth Bakanyiselwa is a very important cloth. The tiger is an ancestral animal and it is a very sacred animal. This cloth holds one of the most important mysteries of initiation. This cloth is for initiates, for those particular initiates who are the custodians, the abapati, the peta. Last time we spoke about this a little bit when we spoke about the elephant cloth, and we said it is for the Ptahhotep umphathi ophethe. This cloth is for the Ptah and not for the Ptahhotep, not umphathi ophethe, right? So this custodian is a specialist. He or she specializes in a certain field. She is a custodian over a specific aspect of the mysteries. There are many of these custodians. There's a custodian of sacred songs. There's a custodian of sacred drums. There's a custodian of sacred dances, a custodian of sacred information, the custodian of the sacred forest, the custodian of the mountain, the custodian of an ancient temple, the custodian of an ancient ruin, etc. So there are many varieties of custodians. And there's basically a custodian for everything. Each and every one of the initiations we have covered so far, each and every one of them has its own custodian, right? The rainmaker have their own custodians, right? The sangoma have their own custodians. The nyangas, being an inheritor of Iskwama, is a custodian. The Sia has its own custodian, right? The tiger is a very territorial animal. This is one of its distinctive characters. It is very, very territorial, and it guards its territory with so much ferocity. In fact, it spends a lot of time guarding over its territory. That is why it is used on this cloth to represent the custodian, one who guards his territory with much intensity. But as I said, sometimes the custodian is not only guarding a place, but she is guarding a song, she is guarding a specific dance or a specific object. In this way, these initiates are likened to a tiger because they are guardians over a specific aspect of the mysteries. It's crazy how guardianship is associated with the tiger, because even in Tsotsital, in vernacular slang, people say, we slap tiger, a sleeping tiger. And this simply means that you have your guard down. So guardianship is associated with the tiger, and thus the initiates of this cloth are the custodians in their varieties. Another thing about the tiger is that it walks alone. It is not a social animal like a lion. The tiger is a loner, and after mating, it leaves and finds its own territory, right? Then it just lives a life of feeding and guarding over its territory. This is why this cloth is also for those who are commonly called the self-initiates, or we call them the spirit initiates. Those who travel the path of the spirit alone, those who have no physical gobelas, those who receive the mysteries directly from the spirit. These people would be recognized by their calling, accomplishment, discoveries, and inventions in the not so olden times of Africa. For example, a person walking in the bush would sometimes find an ancient temple. Since he was the first to find that place, he would be the custodian of that place. Another person would find an ancient artifact or a UFO object. After showing this object to the king, this person would then be made custodian of that sacred object. Some people even dream of these objects or ancient ruins and are told in dreams where to find these things, right? They are told by the spirit about the history of that temple or the mystery of that object and how to use it. Others may first find the object or temple, and then as they spend time in the temple or as they spend time around that specific object, the spirit now begins to reveal the mysteries about the object or the temple, right? And they would begin to know more about those things. They may be told about the rituals to perform before going into that temple or before using that object, right? Spirit can tell you about the history of that temple or, or that object, and all this will have been revealed to you by the spirit. When people want to visit the temple, for example, they must come to you first. When people want knowledge about the temple, they must come to you. The same applies with the custodian of all sacred sites, right? A person can come across a sacred site and may be led to a sacred site, right? And then they start staying in that place or frequenting that place because it feels like home to them. Next thing, they may get revelations about that place, or the spirit guardian of that place may appear to them. This guardian will then initiate them as the custodian of that place. And then after that, anyone who wants to visit that sacred site for any reason will have to get permission from that initiate. Such an initiate becomes a physical manifestation of the spiritual guardian of that place. She becomes a mediator between the spirits of that place and the people who come there. It's the same with the custodians who have sacred objects, right? Spirit will reveal everything about that object, and some people may be guided to you seeking for the blessing of that object. As a custodian, you must allow these people, if spirit allows, and you must then help them get their blessing from that specific sacred object which you possess. It's the same with the modern keepers of the crystal skull, right? Anyone who is guided to do so can go to them and ask them questions or ask to do a prayer with that skull. This is how the old ones used to understand spirit initiates, and this is how they used to contextualize them. They understood them as old souls, lonely travelers. In a way, they also understood them as foreigners, in that nobody knows exactly where they come from, right? Because theirs is unfamiliar, it is unconventional, and it is unpredictable. Hence the tiger. The tiger is also a foreign animal. It is not local to South Africa or anywhere else in Africa. Just like the tiger, the initiates of this cloth were rare and foreign. They were recognized, yet they were not fully understood. They were rare, but they were contextualized. For an example, a person may spend a lot of time by a specific mountain, and the villagers would know that he's always there. His family also knows that he spends all of his time there. As this person spends time in that place, the place then begins to reveal itself to him. Next thing, he has this exclusive information about that place. He becomes familiar with the spirits of that place and literally becomes one with that, that specific place. Where now we can even say that he is possessed by the spirits of that place. He becomes the representative of the spirits of that place, right? He protects the spirits of that place, and is in turn protected by the spirits themselves, the spirits of that place. He may even be able to channel the spirits belonging to that sacred site. And when the spirits want to speak directly to people, they just, go to this custodian, and the custodian is able to channel the spirits, and the spirits will be able to speak directly to the people. And then at some point, other initiates and other people would also be led to him, where now they have to perform certain rituals by that place. You understand? Then at some point, initiates and other people would be led to him when they have to perform certain rituals by that place. Right? He may even give them certain information on what kind of rituals are performed specifically in that place, what offerings to make, etc. Sometimes the people are led to the guardian so that the guardian may perform a certain ceremony for them, right? A ceremony specific to that particular energy spot. In other tribes, there would be a secret school for such initiates. But this school was not really for initiation. It was more like a place to equip custodians. These schools would also teach initiates about the deeper mysteries of the Goma, like how to communicate with the spirits using whistles. For example, you may find a sacred site that nobody knows about, right? And you are made custodian over that site. And then under the secret school, the elders would teach you about the sacred whistles of the spirits, so that you can now communicate with the spirits of that place, right? And those spirits can tell you more about that place, they can tell you more about what to do and how to guard that place, etc. Through these whistles, you'll be able to communicate with them, right? Such schools would be reserved for those who are called old souls. It didn't matter whether you were a king, a nyanga, a sangoma, isazi, or a rainmaker. All that they wanted were those whom they called old souls. A person may have grey hair, for example, and still not be considered old enough for that school. Another may be young, but considered old enough to enter into such a school. Another example, let's say you are a gifted singer, right? You can sing like nobody's business. When you sing, you can channel the spirit. You can go all the way to even making up new songs on the spot, and channeling very ancient songs in the spur of the moment. You've been a gifted singer from a young age, right? When you sing, you raise the spirits, the ancestors awaken within people, right? People can feel their hearts opening. And as you grow with this gift, people start noticing. They start noticing, and they even start calling you to their ceremonies or their weddings so that you come and sing, right? Families invite you so that you can be there, so that you can sing. It can go even all the way to, sangomas, coming to you, asking for your assistance in terms of song, because they know that you channel that ancient spirit song. Such a person may even be able to heal people through singing. They may heal people's spirits through singing. Initiates may even come to you because their ancestors require a certain ancient song. And when they come to you, you are able to tune into that person's vibration and then channel that song. Then the ancestors are healed, the initiate is healed also. In this way, you become a spirit-initiated custodian of songs. Because in the end, you will have a lot of songs at your disposal. You can just imagine. You may even channel ancient songs right, that have been long forgotten by the tribes, ancient songs that were designed to heal and strengthen the tribes, ancient songs that were composed to make groups of people remember. So this is how the tribes contextualized the mystery of this cloth, the mystery of the spirit initiated custodian. The thing about these initiates is that they have a tendency to bring new knowledge to the people, and they also have a tendency to bring back what people have long forgotten. Sometimes people are initiated into a particular system, right? But as time goes, they may forget certain aspects of that system. They may get to a point where that system doesn't allow them to remember the aspects that they've forgotten. Then one may come from outside their enclosed system, and this one may be open enough because he doesn't belong to that particular system, right? So he may be open enough to receive the forgotten aspects of that system. I hope you follow what I'm saying. Sometimes people get so stuck in their traditional or religious ways that they forget the original mysteries of their religion or tradition. And usually it takes someone who is not bound to that particular system to bring back what was lost, because this person is not limited to tradition or religion. Going back to this cloth, we can see that there are patterns printed all over the cloth, all around the cloth, and these are triangles. There are 14 triangles on the horizontal side, and then there are 10 triangles printed on the vertical side. So each has 14, two 14, and then two 10s, right? And in total, there are 48 of these triangles. 48 is the number of stability, manifestation, divination, magic, power. Actually, sorry, 48 is a very sacred number. It's sacred. It's your. Then when we look at the corner there, we see that there are pyramids. This shape right here is actually a pyramid. Let me show you something. So Bakanyisela, check this out. So the shape looks something like this, right? The shape that we saw on the cloth. So this is a pyramid because we can just put a line like this, right? And it makes a pyramid, right? You can just put these imaginary lines like that to give it a bit of dimension, right? So this is why I'm saying that this sign is actually a pyramid. Do you see it? So as we can see, the initiates of this cloth are represented by the pyramid, because the pyramid is a symbol of stability. The pyramid itself is a guardian. It is a custodian. It is guarding a sacred place, because the pyramid is built on a sacred spot, and it is also guarding the mysteries as a whole, plus the mysteries of that particular place. The pyramid structure can last for the longest time. It is a very, very stable shape. Just like the custodians of this cloth, they are very stable, and they say they can stay in one place until they die. In fact, there are other custodians who are not allowed to leave where they stay, right? Or not allowed to leave the place that they are guarding, because the spirits of that place won't allow them to leave. They simply won't. Some initiates who are also kings or queens, are custodians of the place where their tribe resides, right? So in most cases, such people were not allowed to leave that place, right? Because they are custodians of their tribe as much as they are queens or kings. They had to stay there forever, just like a pyramid. It stays in one place for the longest time. On the other hand, the pyramid itself is a self-initiate. It stands on its own, needing nobody else's support. The pyramid supports itself. It is basically resting on itself, right? All the applied forces are well integrated within itself. In other words, it carries its own weight. It bears its own cross. This is exactly like the spirit initiates. The pyramid is also a custodian, as I said. It is a preserver. It is the keeper of ancient knowledge. Exactly like the initiates of this cloth. So the initiates of this cloth must turn themselves into a pyramid. They must be self-sufficient, independent from outside help, and look for the ancient knowledge that is imprinted within them, just like the pyramid, right? So like all the other cloths, this cloth has its own mysteries. It has its own gifts. It has its own burdens. It has its own initiations. And it has its own ascension. These days we have few custodians, right? Custodianship has been dying. Yet it is quite ironic because there is a rising of spirit initiates. This is because maybe this is because a lot of spirit initiates don't know how to contextualize their gift. So they end up trying to align their gifts with the mysteries of Isangoma and Inyanga, not knowing that theirs is a different one, right? Even though they may be connected with Ubunyanga and Ubungoma. In terms of symptoms, one of the common symptoms of the spirit initiate is a deep sense of wanting to leave. You just feel like you can go somewhere and be a hermit. You have a feeling that if you can just go away, something will happen and you will find your place out there in the world. Like a tiger longing for its own territory. In fact, the hermits are the spirit initiates, right? Part of the reason for this is because these initiates are never really understood by their own people. They also seem weird and alien. They themselves also feel out of place. They feel weird and alien among others. Even among spiritual people, people who are supposed to understand them, they don't understand them. In fact, they may even be ridiculed by these same people because they usually go beyond conventions. They go beyond tradition, not to destroy those traditions, but to expand, right? To open up new ventures of enlightenment, new paths. You understand? These people have always been a wonder, even in ancient times. And just like the Ptahhotep, Umpati Opet, these initiates are also game changers in their own way because they bring new knowledge to the tribes, and they can also bring back the old knowledge that was lost or forgotten by the tribes. They can also bring back the old sacred objects or totems that belonged to the tribes, just like the story of Linda Tucker. Her main goal as a custodian, as a keeper of the white lions, was to bring back the white lions to Timbabad in Limpopo, where they really belong, right? So each and every custodian has her own specific duty to fulfill. Each and every custodian is bringing back something ancient or ushering in something new. When you look at the different lineages of the Holy Ones of Kariba, all of them were bringing back something. They were rediscovering the knowledge of that place and the knowledge of the initiates that came before them. The Tonga and the Tonga Ila came into Kariba to also rediscover the mysteries of the ancient ones of Kariba, and they were the custodians. They became the custodians of Kariba. Even the old tribes recognized spirit initiates as reincarnations. It was believed that through them someone has come back. You understand? And of course, we are all reincarnations, right? But there's something about these people that makes them more than just reincarnations. So that's why they are called old souls. They are reincarnations of ancient souls. In Khemu, in ancient Egypt, such a person would be called the Hem-Netta, which means divine incarnation, the divine servant of God. Meaning this person is an incarnation of a god. That's why some spirit initiates will tell you that they are a reincarnation of an Egyptian god like Osiris, Ra, Thoth, etc. Others may be connected to other gods or high initiates from other ancient civilizations. The word Hem-Netta is also written as Hemt-Netta. This Hemt is where the word hermit comes from, and these initiates are the true hermits, one who travels alone, living in the wilderness until he reaches enlightenment. And the hermits themselves were always less understood. Theirs was a mystery. Nobody knows where they come from. Nobody knows where they are going. They just appear out of nowhere. The journey of the old soul is largely connected with the mystery of the hermit, right? And of course, it is also connected with the mystery of self-remembering. The old soul has to remember who they are. But to get into this will be like starting all over. There is definitely a lot more to say about the mysteries of this cloth. The mysteries of the spirit initiates are very, very broad. For a quick recap, in closing, we said these initiates are the custodians. They are the Abba party, even though they are not the Peta Hotep, not the Umpati or Pete, but they are the Umpati, the Peta, right? Their custodianship is specialized. It is connected to a specific field. Custodianship is broad. There are many varieties of custodianship. One can be a custodian of a sacred site, a sacred artifact, an ancient ruin, an ancient temple, an ancient song, an ancient dance. You can basically be a custodian of anything. The initiates of this cloth are the old souls. They are the reincarnation of old souls. They usually return with a certain objective to fulfill, and such an objective may turn them into game changers. They are the lonely travelers. They stand alone like a pyramid or a tiger, and in fact their initiation is based on turning themselves into a pyramid or even a tiger. They are the representatives of God or a spirit of a particular place. They are the mediators between the spirit of a place and the people of the place. The mediators between the spirit of the sacred object and the people. They are the guardians, the hermits, the reincarnated gods, and the reincarnated initiates. Some are even fallen gods, but story for another day. Bakhanyiselwa, we've come to the end of our video for today, and we are definitely still continuing with the mysteries of the ancestral cloths. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Saw.